Your height shrinks by 2 centimeters in a year. Do you think it's because of age? Actually, it might be a sign that something is quietly happening inside your body. The other day, a woman came to my outpatient clinic. 72-year-old Akiko Tanaka, a former elementary school teacher. The reason Miss Tanaka came in for a checkup was something trivial. At her annual health checkup, her height had decreased by 2 centimeters. That's all. However, I felt that I couldn't overlook this 2-centimeter decrease. It's easy to think it's just because of age, right? But you shouldn't just dismiss it like that. 2 centimeters in a year. As I mentioned at the beginning, this is a sign from your body. In fact, I requested additional tests for bone density and blood work. A few days later, when I saw the results, I was at a loss for words. Her bones were starting to become porous. Her blood sugar level was just 1 step away from diabetes. Her grip strength was also lower than that of others in her age group. After I told Tanaka-san the results, he looked a bit down and said, "Doctor, it's already too late for me, isn't it?" I answered him clearly, "No, it's not too late. Bones will respond no matter how old you are." After this, Mr. Tanaka's life quickly changed, beginning with a specific exercise. I'll share everything with you today. Hello, this is YouTube Medical University. Let's learn medical information today that will help you become healthier starting tomorrow. The story I just mentioned is not just about Mr. Tanaka. You who are watching this video might also be standing at the same crossroads. If your bones become fragile, even a minor fall could lead to a fracture and possibly leave you bedridden. If you ignore the spikes in your blood sugar after meals, they could trigger a stroke or heart attack 10 years from now. But you can change that future with your own hands. The exercise that changed Mr. Tanaka's life doesn't require any equipment, doesn't cost any money, and you don't need to go to the gym. It's an exercise you can do in just a few minutes a day next to a chair. This is an exercise whose amazing effects have been scientifically proven. After a meal, when your blood sugar rises sharply and then falls, it's called a blood sugar spike or a blood sugar peak. But just by continuing this exercise while sitting, the height of this blood sugar peak was reduced by half. I'll be introducing an exercise you can start today, which are backed by such data, so please watch until the end. And in the latter half of the video, I'll also introduce research reports showing that some exercises you might be doing with good intentions are actually not as effective for fall prevention as you might think. So to make sure your efforts aren't wasted, let's learn together the correct methods so you can live a vibrant life in the second half of your life. So here is today's agenda. In the first section, I'll briefly explain why strengthening your bones is more important than muscle training. Then in the second section, I'll talk about the exercises you can do while sitting, which I explained earlier. I'll also explain why these exercises can cut your blood sugar spikes in half. In the third section, I'll introduce the correct way to perform these exercises. First, let me ask you a question. What comes to mind when you hear the word bone? You probably imagine something like a hard lump of calcium. However, that's not strictly correct. In modern medicine, bones are also considered one of the organs. Believe it or not, bone is one of the command centers that sends instructions throughout the body. Hormones released from bones help protect memory, support muscle strength, regulate blood sugar, and maintain youthfulness. These kinds of things are being discovered one after another. In other words, when your bones become fragile, it doesn't just mean you're more likely to fall. It could also mean that the switch for youthfulness throughout your whole body is being turned off. That's why when Mr. Tanaka's bones were starting to become porous at the beginning, I thought I needed to take action as soon as possible. Here's a side note about bones. Do you know what the biggest health challenge astronauts face is? Actually, what troubles them the most isn't radiation or loneliness, it's that their bones dissolve at an incredible rate. In fact, it's been found that in zero gravity, bone density decreases by about 1 to 2% every month. This is 10 times faster than the rate of osteoporosis on Earth. The bone aging that would take a year on Earth happens in just 1 month. NASA researchers struggled with this problem for many years, but the answer they finally arrived at was actually very simple. That was to expose the bones to impact. NASA is the world's leading research institution. The answer that NASA ultimately arrived at was not strength training or supplements, but exposing the bones to impact. The exercise I'm introducing today is an impact exercise for your bones. It's called heel drops. This exercise is the most efficient way to stimulate your bones with impact at home without using any equipment. If you're thinking, does such a simple exercise really make a difference? There's a study about this. It was conducted at Griffith University in Australia. The subjects were women with an average age of 65 whose bone mass had started to decrease. They had the participants do high impact training twice a week for 30 minutes each session over a period of 8 months. So what happened as a result? The bone density in their spines improved by an average of 2.9%. If you're thinking only 2.9%, actually, for those who understand, this is an amazing result. That's because once you turn 60, if you don't do anything, your bone density basically keeps decreasing little by little. In this study as well, the group that didn't do impact exercises saw their bone density steadily decrease. However, for the group that did impact exercises, it wasn't just that the rate of bone density loss improved. In fact, the shocking result was that their bone density actually increased. Moreover, there was another important discovery. The group that did impact exercises did not experience any decrease in height. As we get older, our height tends to decrease, but this phenomenon was prevented. Please remember this. In the story about Mr. Tanaka at the beginning, the reason he came to the clinic was because his height had decreased by 2 centimeters. That decrease in height might have been prevented. However, I have something important to tell you here. The exercises that involved applying impact to the heels, as I mentioned earlier, actually included things like jumping or doing deadlifts, which involve squatting while lifting heavy objects. These were quite intense exercises. Many of you might be thinking, so does simply dropping your heels have no effect? Actually, there is research from the UK that specifically looked at the effects of heel drops. The results of that study showed that the group who performed heel drops was able to stop the decrease in bone density. And among women, when the study focused on those before menopause, that is, before their bones became more fragile, doing heel drops actually increased their bone density. In other words, here's the point. The earlier you start doing heel drops, the more effective they are, and if you do heel drops when your bone density starts to decrease, it becomes the strongest exercise to protect against bone density loss. Bones will respond to impact no matter how old you are. This is something that recent research is revealing more and more. Just by dropping your heels and giving your bones a shock, you can get amazing results. So far, I've talked about heel drops and bone health. But to stay healthy in the latter half of life, it's important to pay attention not only to your bones, but also to your blood sugar. Especially as you get older, your metabolism slows down and your energy consumption decreases, so your blood sugar levels tend to rise more easily. It's been found that the action of lifting your heels is actually very effective as a measure against high blood sugar. So in the second part, we'll talk about whether you can cut your post-meal blood sugar spike in half just by sitting. I'll reveal the truth behind this unbelievable story. Now, about Mr. Tanaka from the beginning. He was worried about more than just his bones. There was another number too. That was his blood sugar level. He didn't have diabetes to begin with. However, his blood sugar level was slightly above the normal range. In other words, he was at the stage just before developing diabetes. If it's just one step away, it's still okay. Many people think, I'll start being careful if I'm told I have diabetes. But that's a mistake. What's really harming your body can't be detected by the blood sugar levels measured during fasting at a health checkup. After a meal, your blood sugar spikes sharply. It's actually these blood sugar spikes that damage your blood vessels. The inside of your blood vessels is gradually being damaged. If you compare it to a hose, it's like the inside of the hose becoming hard and brittle. This is the starting point for things like stroke and heart attack. You can't notice this just by checking your blood sugar when you're fasting during a health checkup. However, this is something that quietly happens inside your body every day. Mr. Tanaka was exactly in this situation, experiencing blood sugar spikes, peaks in his blood sugar levels. It's still too early to start medication, but some measures are necessary. For people like that, there's an interesting method you can start right away, so let me introduce it. This is a 2022 study from the University of Houston in America. They gathered healthy adults and conducted a crossover type trial, comparing the blood sugar levels of the same people when they exercised and when they didn't. They had participants raise and lower their heels in a special way while sitting and observed how their blood sugar levels changed after eating. As a result, when they raised and lowered their heels while sitting, the peak of their blood sugar after eating was about 50% lower. And this was without taking any medication. It's like the sharp peaks of a roller coaster changed into gentle hills. That's the kind of image you can imagine. Furthermore, the group that exercised had about 60% less of the hormone insulin, which is released to lower blood sugar. You might be wondering, is it a good thing for insulin to decrease? Actually, this is a very good thing. It means that your blood sugar can be maintained without having to release insulin, so your pancreas doesn't have to work too hard and get worn out. As a result, you'll be able to maintain a body that's better at lowering blood sugar even later in life. The latest 2025 research shows this heel-raising exercise is already giving good results for patients who already have disease in the blood vessels of the heart. It's also suitable for those with leg or lower back pain or chronic illnesses that make intense exercise difficult. This heel-raising exercise while sitting might help improve blood sugar even for those people. Don't you think it's worth a try? So why does it work even while sitting? The answer lies in just one muscle. You might think that standing and walking would be more effective, right? However, I think you'll understand once you hear the reason. In your calves, there's a muscle called the soleus muscle, which is named because it resembles a sole fish. When you touch your calves, you'll feel a large muscle on the surface, but deeper inside, there's a flat muscle. That's the soleus muscle. This muscle, with its plain name and hard to see location beneath the surface, is now attracting attention from researchers around the world as the main player controlling the body's metabolism. The soleus muscle has a special characteristic that most other muscles don't have. That is, it doesn't get tired. When you sprint at full speed, your legs get tired, feel heavy, and you say that lactic acid builds up, right? But the soleus muscle is different. Why doesn't it get tired no matter how many hours you use it? The reason is simple. The soleus muscle produces energy in a different way. It slowly uses fat and sugar along with oxygen to convert them into energy over a long period of time, so it's less likely to run out of energy. Here, what various researchers thought was, if it doesn't get tired, then if you can keep moving the soleus muscle while sitting, it might keep burning the sugar in your blood on its own. If you don't get tired, you can keep doing it for a long time. I tell my patients it's fine to do it after a meal, even while watching TV. Just sit in a chair and simply raise and lower your heels. Just by doing this, you might be able to reduce future damage to your blood vessels. Doctor, in that case, I think I can do it too. I'm always glad to hear responses like that. How about you? So far, I've introduced that heel drops are good for your bones and that raising your heels while sitting is good for your blood sugar levels. Raising and lowering your heels. It may not seem like much of an exercise, but the effects are another story. So how often should you actually do it and how many times? Are there people who shouldn't do it? I'll explain the detailed method in 3 points. On YouTube Irio Daigaku, we share lesser known medical and preventive healthcare information. If you like it, I'd really appreciate it if you could give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Now, let's move on to the practical part. Bones become stronger with impact. Lifting your heels while sitting helps control blood sugar. So how exactly should you do it? I'll explain 3 different methods depending on your goal. First, the way to protect your bones. This one is done standing up. Lightly place your hand on the back of a chair or against a wall. This is to prevent you from losing your balance. Do not skip this step. Then, slowly raise both of your heels. Stand on your tiptoes.
1, 2, 3.
Then relax and drop your heels down. The impact of your heels hitting the floor is the main movement for today. Do this 30 to 50 times a day. You don't have to do them all at once. You can do 20 in the morning, 20 in the afternoon, and 20 at night. Do it during daily routines like brushing your teeth or waiting for water to boil, fitting it into gaps in your day. Next is the method from the University of Houston study I mentioned in the second section. This one is done while sitting. If you're sitting and watching right now, try raising and lowering your heels 2 or 3 times just as you are. Yes, that's actually all there is to it. This kind of simple exercise is actually attracting attention around the world right now. Sit back in your chair, place the soles of your feet flat on the floor, slowly raise both heels, and then slowly lower them. Each repetition takes about 1 second. 1,
2, 3, 1, 2, 4. 5, 6.
Let's keep the rhythm slow and steady without stopping. The key point is to do this between 30 minutes to 1 hour after eating because that's when your blood sugar level is most likely to rise. The duration should be 5 to 10 minutes. It's okay to do this while watching TV or on your phone. Since the soleus muscle doesn't tire easily, you won't get out of breath no matter how long you move it. Lastly, as a bonus, I'll share a way to prevent falls. For this, stand up and hold a tiptoe position for 3 seconds. While keeping your hand on the wall, slowly rise up and hold for 3 seconds. Then slowly lower yourself. Slowly rise up. 1,
3,
then slowly lower yourself. Do 1 set of 10 repetitions and do 2 sets a day. By standing on your tiptoes, you're strengthening your calves and ankles. By doing this, when you stumble, your foot will quickly come out to catch yourself. This exercise is meant to strengthen your ability to take a stable step in an emergency. Whether or not you can take this step and whether you can withstand it will determine whether you fall and break a bone or not. If you think you can't remember all 3, I recommend trying it like this. In the morning, do 10 heel drops while brushing your teeth. After meals, do seated heel drops for 5 to 10 minutes while watching TV. After your evening bath, do 10 times of standing on your tiptoes and holding the position. Just by doing this, you can address all 3: bone health, blood sugar, and fall prevention. Now, here's the part you've been waiting for. As I mentioned in the opening, many people do certain exercises thinking they're good, but in reality, these exercises don't offer much benefit. Let me introduce them to you. This is a paper published in 2024 in JAMA, a highly prestigious medical journal worldwide. It's a paper that collected and analyzed studies from around the world on the theme of how to prevent falls among elderly people. And part of the conclusion overturned what many people thought was common sense. Here it is. Walking alone does not reduce falls. Please don't misunderstand. I'm not saying that walking is bad. Walking is great for your mood, your heart, and your blood pressure. However, when it comes to preventing falls, walking alone is not enough. This is what recent research has shown. So, what did this study conclude helps prevent falls? It's a combination of balance exercises and strength training. That sounds a bit difficult, doesn't it? Specifically, strength exercises like the tiptoe exercise I mentioned earlier, which use your muscles. And balance exercises are activities that help you maintain your sense of balance, like standing on one leg. You should do these a few times a week. Only those who continue these exercises clearly reduce their risk of falling. So while walking every day is great in itself in terms of preventing falls, doing things like standing on your tiptoes along with walking may help reduce your risk of falling in the future. What kinds of exercise have you tried? Maybe something you gave up on in the past, something you're working hard at now, or something your doctor recommended. Please share your experiences in the comments section. I will read all your comments and reply to them. If you have concerns about your legs or lower back, or are already in pain, consult your doctor or a nearby orthopedic clinic before starting and get advice on suitable exercise. As I mentioned at the beginning, Mr. Tanaka also continued to do these exercises diligently after I introduced him to 3 different exercise methods. I can't say for sure if it was because of that, but 3 months later, Mr. Tanaka's post-meal blood sugar levels had improved, and a year after that, the decrease in his bone density had also slowed down significantly. And his height also stopped changing completely. He never imagined that he could change this much. He told me with a smile that he's really looking forward to being able to go pick up his grandchild on his own 2 feet, so he'll do his best to keep it up. Things like, let's do strength training, or let's practice moderation are certainly correct and reasonable, but I think it's common that those suggestions just don't suit you. It's definitely not because you're not trying hard enough. There are actually a lot of people who just haven't found the exercise or diet method that suits them. Many people start to think that maybe they're the problem, but when they find a method that suits them, they realize they can actually change and they regain confidence in their health. We'll share different exercises and habits on YouTube Medical University, where you can learn in just 10 minutes a day. Please subscribe so you don't forget the channel. So that's what I wanted to share with you today. Bones are the switch that keeps your whole body youthful, and they can only become stronger by receiving impact. By continuously training the soleus muscle, which is located deep in your calf, you can suppress the rise in blood sugar levels even while sitting. And in fact, what really prevents falls is not walking, but strength exercises like standing on your toes and balance exercises. Try adding these simple things into gaps in your day. 10 years from now, 20 years from now, your future will change significantly. And I've also made an A4 checklist that summarizes the 2 methods I talked about today. Please register using the official line link in the description and type kotsukotsu in hiragana. Then I will immediately send you this PDF handout for free. If you find the notifications annoying, feel free to block me. I'm running this by myself, so your personal information won't be shared with anyone else at all. Please feel free to register. There are also lots of exclusive videos and other perks. And finally, I have one request. If you listen to today's lesson and feel like you want to start from today, please declare it in the comments section. Starting today, I'll do it 30 times a day. Making a declaration like this is the key to sticking with it, and I'll reply with a message of support, so I'll be waiting for your comments. That's all for today's lesson. See you in the next video. I have just one announcement for those of you who watched until the end. I've created a place where I can share more in-depth and interactive health guidance. This is Coco Kara, your go-to consultation service for mind and body. Many people tell me that they're concerned about their health, but in the end, they don't know what to believe. I handle many real consultations here, from interpreting medical checkup results and medication questions to family care, personally answering each one within 24 hours. If interested, register for the free official line account. Every month, we send out sample member videos so you can experience what it's like. Enrollment announcements are sent first to those who have registered online. Register using the top link in the description box. We look forward to hearing from you.